Hi there. Thank you so much for joining in tonight. I'm Shauna from SBell Wellness, and I'm here to share with you some natural solutions for dealing with pain and inflammation tonight. So I'm excited to dig into that a little bit with you. So first, let's just kind of talk about what's the deal with inflammation anyway. So there are two different types of inflammation. It's kind of important to know this, because when we think of inflammation, we think of automatically there's something kind of wrong. I think we're thinking more of chronic, but there is acute inflammation that's actually super important for our body to have that healthy inflammatory response, so that those cells can go there and help repair, and something that maybe is just like a one-time trigger or an event that's happening short term. So that's kind of things like when we're getting sick, colds and flus and sore throats and scratches and cuts, even like ingrown toenails, appendicitis, all of those things that are just happening in short term kind of triggers that our body's dealing with. Even intense physical training can cause some acute inflammation. But all of these things, these wounds and infections and disease, they wouldn't actually be able to heal without the healthy inflammatory. So we do want to be able to have a healthy inflammatory response happening in our body. The problem is when it hangs out too long. And so that's that chronic inflammation. We're getting long-term inflammation in the body where the body wasn't able to repair something that happened that was acute. And the type of cells that are then there at that site are kind of shifting and causing some issues. Or there's an autoimmune response happening in the body where the body's actually mistaking that healthy tissue as something harmful. And so it's really putting on the defense and attacking healthy tissue on an ongoing basis. And so that's starting to cause some chronic issues. Like asthma and arthritis are also chronic kind of things that are happening in the body. And then, of course, there's lots of autoimmune disease now that we're learning more and more about. And that is often due to chronic inflammation in the body. And then pain, there's also different types of pain. And so it's kind of important to think about this too, just from the perspective of what kind of pain are you having, would really be what you would want to try to use as a solution to support that. So of course, pain is just, dealing with something physical, but also emotional from an injury or an illness that's happening in the body or even throughout the body systems. So we have acute pain. And so that's typically like real intense, short-lived pain, often kind of caused by an injury, but that will heal over time. And then we have chronic pain. And chronic pain is something that could be mild or intense, but it's something that's ongoing. And so there's different types of chronic pain. And this is where it's important to just kind of note this and think about it, because that's what helps you kind of decide on what solutions you want. And so you might be having some somatic pain, which is like more of musculoskeletal, sore muscles, a cut on your skin, or like a visceral type thing going on with some internal organs. And that also includes like cramping and aching. And then there's neuropathic pain, which is more like nerve pain and things that would happen from degenerative type of disease. Or sympathetic pain, which is more soft tissue injury, fractures, those kind of things going on. And then our body also has referred pain, which is pain that might be happening when you're feeling pain in a place other than the injury site or the infection site. So those are things like when you're having, a big example would be like having a heart attack and having arm pain would be a referred pain. So addressing pain and inflammation with natural solutions. Natural solutions are actually a wonderful way to address pain and inflammation, since the body is really having a reaction most likely to a systemic reaction to the things that are happening in the body. And so that natural solutions can really help the body's natural ability to do that, because the chemical composition of those plants and our body are so similar, and can work synergistically to support. If you are dealing with chronic inflammation, it is so super important to consider a wellness regimen that's really focused on interrupting the continuation of that inflammatory reaction in the specific unwanted area. I will say supplementation is really a critical part of that, because you really want to get to that cellular level and really helping those cells and tissues have the nourishment they need in order to subdue that chronic occurrence of the pain and inflammation. So when the cells and tissue get the nourishment that they need, then they can respond more readily to other powerful natural things that we are trying to use, like the essential oils. So it's really hand in hand that those things are recommended to be considered at the same time to make sure you're getting the best benefit from those. So I'll talk a little bit about the supplementation that we have available to us through doTERRA, specifically to supporting pain and inflammation. So I, of course, will mention the doTERRA Lifelong Vitality Vitamins. So that's the Microplex VMZ, which is going to be your whole food, just multivitamin. And then the ZEO Omegas, which are going to really be your omegas to really help, and then your alpha CRS, which are those antioxidants. I have a whole class on that, so I'm not going to dig into all of those tonight. If that's something that you're interested in, just go back a little bit, a few videos, and you can check out the class on the lifelong vitality. But I do want to talk about the deep blue polyphenol complex. So this is super helpful for pain, and it's a blend of polyphenols, which are just plant micronutrients that have been clinically tested to really help with soreness from either physical activity or just everyday discomforts. I actually used this one as a pain reliever that I would have used, for head tension, those kind of things in the past. So this has frankincense in it, which is a great inflammatory modulator, really making sure that our healthy inflammatory system is up to par, but that we are not having those chronic ones. So frankincense has superpower. I'll talk about that in a little bit more later. Curcumin is also a powerful anti-inflammatory. In this particular supplement, it is in that powder form, and I'll also talk about the turmeric essential oil. Ginger root is great for reducing pain and inflammation and improving circulation, which is all very important for our body's response to inflammation. Green tea, which is actually green tea, and this is not one of a caffeinated source, so it's decaffeinated, antioxidant, and it really helps kind of search out those free radicals and help to remove those from the body, which is also very important for being able to have a response to inflammation. And then pomegranates are really great for antioxidants as well. This also has grapeseed extract in it, which is, again, really helping to attack those free radicals and increase that cellular level repair. Resveratrol, if you have looked into that one at all, is super, super helpful for the rapid growth of healthy cells and then inhibiting the rapid growth of mutated cells. So that's a very powerful superfood to be in this polyphenol complex. And then it also has a tummy tamer in there, which is great. Most of our supplements have that in there when there are a lot of things going on, so that you can not have kind of digestive upset from being able to process these wonderful things. Copaiba. So Copaiba, actually here I'm talking about the soft gel, but it also comes in the essential oil. This just has the essential oil in it. Each of these capsules have 2 drops of the Copaiba oil. So what's so great about Copaiba? So Copaiba actually is one of the most important and actually impressive health benefits that it has is actually for inflammation and pain. It really actually, research is showing that it's one of the most anti-inflammatory substances that we actually have on Earth, which is a really big statement, but super cool. Its chemical composition really allows for our body to have a synergistic support and approach with it. So you're going to be able to attack your inflammation and your pain while simultaneously supporting some other things like emotional health. So really great that it can do all those things for us at the same time. It does have a slower rate of metabolism, which actually just means that you're going to have that longer lasting impact from it. It works on the body's endocannabinoid system, which really helps to modulate and balance just the functions across our body. It really is finding homeostasis for our bodies at that cellular level. Our doTERRA copaiba is actually from 4 different species of the copaiba tree. And the reason for that is actually to help get that greatest capability of the chemical composition in there of BCP and other, chemical things that are made up in the oil. So some of you may have heard about CBD and using that. It does, respond to our endocannabinoid system too. It's from the cannabis plant. It's different. There's just a lot of different ways that that's interacting with the body. And so copaiba is from the copaiba tree. It is not from a cannabis plant. Research is showing that the BCP in copaiba helps to really protect against oxidative stress, can really be helpful for quick healing. So we're talking about that pro-inflammatory response. And then even they're showing research that's actually reversing damage and really stopping inflammation at the site. So super powerful to consider if you are dealing with inflammation and pain. I talked about copaiba in the soft gel and then saying that it is in essential oil form as well. So these two together, I mentioned curcumin earlier in the polyphenols, but turmeric essential oil came out last year and just really has some different powers behind that. And so being able to take copaiba and turmeric together, they actually pair up really well to support pain and inflammation. And so I do this on a daily basis myself personally. And I follow Dr. Hill's recommendation. And so 2 drops of copaiba and 2 drops of turmeric in the AM and PM. And how I do that is actually in the veggie caps. So these are empty, just vegetable glycerin capsules, but you can put the drops right into those. I do recommend if you're making those, I do want to say, make sure that you're doing them just at the time of taking them, because if you are kind of storing them up, you might not be able to keep the integrity of the oils. But those two together, you guys, so great for helping to decrease pain, really encouraging that cellular level repair, really supporting protecting those healthy cells, and really anti-inflammatory. Dr. Hill actually says that the best way to take these oils is actually under the tongue because it reaches systemically before it can metabolize in the liver. I'm not actually there yet. I don't care for the taste of turmeric, and so that's just not something that I've done. I put them in the capsule. They are going to dissolve. You are getting the benefit from them. I have noticed a huge difference in joint pain and inflammation and those kind of things, as well as dealing with some seasonal allergy things. Has been very different this year in taking these, and so I know that it's really having a positive impact on inflammation in my body. All right, so frankincense. I talked about frankincense earlier in the polyphenols. Frankincense is the king of oils, amazing anti-inflammatory. It's really great for head tension relief. It's my best friend oil for breast health. So I have personally experienced having a lot of inflammation in my breast tissue, so much so that the doctors had shared that was millions of cysts. And so I started using frankincense touch roller, rolling that over my breasts twice a day. Drastic change, you guys. The tissue is definitely different. I'm not feeling those abnormal tissues that I was in the past. So definitely super powerful for anti-inflammatory. And then it's also a really great oil to charge the chemical composition, the properties of the other oils. So I like to use that in when I make roller bottle blends. I like to add a little bit of frankincense to those to give that extra boost to the oils. Deep Blue is a really wonderful blend of wintergreen and camphor, peppermint, blue tansy, blue chamomile, and helichrysum. It's just a really nice soothing blend that can really help have an impact on some pain and inflammation that might be going on. Great for muscle tension, back and neck pain. Really nice for achy joints, just kind of rubbing that on the neck and shoulders. Even temples, really great when you're dealing with some head tension. I do say if you're using things on your temples, just make sure that you're kind of closer to the hairline. Want to be mindful of your eyes. If for any reason you ever get essential oil in your eye, just use a little bit of coconut oil to neutralize that. If you're putting water on it, you're just going to continue to get that feeling. So you want to neutralize that with some fractionated coconut oil. All right. Here is kind of a combination of a few oils. This is actually one of my favorites for just a topical use for pain and inflammation. This became one of my favorites after having surgery and wanting to not take any sort of prescription pain medication. And so I use this one. So this is a recipe for adults. And so for adults in a 10 milliliter roller bottle, if you add 10 drops of deep blue, 10 drops of lemongrass, and 5 drops of frankincense, and then put that right on. If you're dealing with something acute, you can put essential oils on as often as like every 30 minutes when you're dealing with that. Or just, every, couple of hours, or however you would have maybe used a other kind of pain reliever in the past. You could definitely do it that way as well. So that's definitely one of my favorites. And then I'll just mention some other oils. Helichrysum is a really wonderful oil for helping to reduce pain. It really helps accelerate healing. So it's a great oil for anything that might have damage or, cut, scrape, that sort of thing with the skin. It's also a great oil for helping to chelate the toxins. So toxins in our body from all kinds of things in our environment, our foods, our products that we're using, those can all have an impact on inflammation. So being able to find some natural sources to help the body detox from that is helpful. Wintergreen, which I had mentioned in the deep blue products, but you can also use wintergreen by itself. It will help soothe aches and pains. It actually has a cortisone-like effect. So anybody who has kind of a reaction to cortisone, I know some people do, this might not be the oil for you. So I just want to mention that. But for anyone who would like an alternative to using cortisone, wintergreen would be a great option for that. It's also a great one to help support bone healing. Peppermint, of course, is a wonderful oil for reducing inflammation and pain. It's very cooling, stimulating, getting that blood flow. It's a great one for head tension. One of my tricks with peppermint is, put a drop on your thumb and push that right to the roof of your mouth. Really great to help with head tension. Ginger, which I had mentioned earlier actually in the Deep Blue supplement, but ginger by itself is actually really great for any kind of nerve pains going on. It really helps to promote circulation as well as healing to the bones and muscles. So it can be very warming. If you use that in a massage, I would recommend definitely diluting it to put it on topically. Black pepper is also an oil that is helpful for reducing inflammation, relieving pain, and increasing circulation. So it's kind of a theme here, right, that we can really support increasing that circulation so that we were getting some really good blood flow to the areas where we are dealing with these things. And then basil and rosemary are also really great. They can help to calm nerves as well as having kind of a steroidal action. So again, if that's something you're sensitive to, then I definitely would recommend maybe considering a different oil. But if that is something that you have used in the past and would like to be able to have a more natural solution for that, then basil and rosemary would be a really great choice. All right, so I really just kind of touched on the top ones that I have found to be helpful and that others have shared testimonies on, and then a couple of extras. I would really recommend using this book to help you when you're looking for specific systems of the body that you're having some of these inflammation and pain. This book is really helpful. It really helps you look into the properties of different plants and knowing which one you might want to choose for helping you out in a more natural way. All right, so what else? Of course, I talk a lot about oils and supplements when I'm here sharing about doTERRA, but I do want to share just some other things because I think they are important when we're thinking about inflammation and pain. I do recommend that if you're dealing with that, especially on a chronic basis, to look into your food choices, you guys. Even if you are a really good eater and you're trying to make healthy choices and eat organic, locally grown, those kind of things, even good ones can actually be culprits because your body actually could be having a negative reaction to it. I personally have a fruit intolerance, right? I thought I was eating well by eating fruit. And lo and behold, I was actually causing more inflammation in my body by doing that. So getting tested for food intolerances and allergies is a really highly supportive way to decrease inflammation. If we can really address things at the gut, we're making huge strides in systemic issues. So that was something that I had, found out a couple years ago, and I've, worked a lot on that, really trying to change that. And so I have been able to work back in some of those foods by paying attention to what's happening in my body and doing some of these other things that I've mentioned with supplementation and oils to be able to get some cellular level healing to be able to do that. We also want to make sure that we are considering stress levels, right? So what kind of things can help with that? So exercise for sure. Just getting into something that feels right for you. It doesn't have to be high intense, that sort of thing. You have to find what works for you. Kind of varying it up can be helpful as you start to build in that routine. Self-care for sure, right? We need to make sure that we're spending time for ourselves, whether it be journaling or meditation, just having some quiet time away from screens, that sort of thing, making sure that we are considering that impact on our stress. And career satisfaction, right? So we have to find, what parts of our job that we can add more, that we enjoy and we love so that we can feel happy about that to help some of the stress that may be there not feel so stressful. And then relationships on purpose. So friendships, family, that sort of thing, just really kind of making sure that we're being mindful of those things can really actually have an impact on our whole body systems. So those are definitely some things that I like to share when we talk about this topic. All right, so if you have questions, if you want to kind of explore some of these things, you want to know more about some of that food intolerance or allergy testing and those kind of things, I definitely can support you in that way as far as getting you in touch with some people that can help you with that. And so please feel free to contact me. If you jump on my website, sbellwellness.com, you can find all my contact information there. You can shoot me an email, phone call, or text anytime through that. And then you can also explore all these wonderful doTERRA products right from the website. But please feel free to contact me at any time so that I can help you out. All right, so I hope that this was helpful information and that you guys can choose some of these things if you're dealing with inflammation and pain so that you can support yourself in a natural, healthy way. Thank you guys so much for joining in, and I will see you next time.